why you guys are not allowing your players to pace?
Well, that's a fair question from El Shapo there. He should be allowed to go to the bathroom.
I'm gonna put their bottle.
Not this bottle. Not this bottle right here. Oh, thank God. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, we got bodily fluid, we got human excrement all over the place. From Benoit Paire taking a big excrement on the tournament itself, to Tsitsipas taking a shiza on his opponent, to Shapovalov threatening to relieve himself of bodily fluid right there, right in a bottle. Not my bottle, not your bottle, his bottle. But still, we'll get to all of it today with all the bodily functions happening down under. What else? We're going to go through some notable results from the first round. All the first round matches are on the books. We'll go through that, look ahead to some very notable second, and maybe we'll look ahead to talk about a couple third round potential matchups. Like I said, no offense to Tsitsipas, he wasn't shizaing on his opponent, Gilles Simon. He was, this foxsports.com.au, they're kind of gossipy. They love to do the clickbait stuff sometimes. They call it a, quote, "I can leave if you want." Greek god, Tsitsipas, falls apart in a very awkward interview. They call it an awkward interview, but actually, it's a pretty funny interview, and nothing wrong with Tsitsipas telling the world that he's playing great, and he knows it. I stand by my prediction from the draw show that Tsitsipas may beat Rafa Nadal and do something special here. A lot of players who've gone down early are blaming the tournament, blaming the quarantine. And Benoit Paire is probably the best example. Just to sum it all up, we'll talk about what he had to say about this tournament. And Nick Kyrgios is starting it up again with Djokovic, having a very public fight with him, or at least trying to lure Djokovic in. Djokovic doesn't want to take the bait. It's kind of a tired, boring storyline, but we will address that. We will address all of the things on today's edition of Coffee Break Tennis. First off, let me address, though, one prediction before you say it. Yannick Sinner not winning the whole tournament, obviously, doesn't even beat Shapo. But if you watched him in the ATP 250, was it like Murray River Open? They had a name like that. I can't remember the name. But if you watch Yannick Sinner, it was an impressive. Put this on the screen. Look at this. This guy had to play a lot. No one played more with less time to rest after playing right before. You know, like Medvedev and Rublev. Very, very impressive ATP Cup victories in the final, especially the way they beat Italy. If I can find this footage, take a listen. This was pretty hilarious.
I'm not happy that we were part of our disaster.
Look at how Fonini is just losing it about this disaster.
To say thanks to everybody for coming.
But the truth is, the Russians are playing great, and they played Tuesday, right? They had a whole day off. But Yannick Sinner, he didn't get that. I get it. This ATP 250 is smaller than the ATP Cup, so give the guys who won the ATP Cup, give their half of the draw the day off on Monday and let them play Tuesday. Sure, it's fine, but if you saw these matches Yannick Sinner went through, especially the one with Karen Khachanov, right? So you look at the schedule on the screen. Sinner had to play a couple matches in one day. Then he plays Khachanov, and this is a real battle, one of the best matches of everything you saw, including ATP Cup matches before the Australian Open started. Yannick Sinner is starting to lose it, right? In this match, his body's starting to let him down. He's played a lot of tennis, and this is the one knock on Sinner. This is the one thing he needs to beef up, like we've seen Shapovalov himself. Is back when he beat Rafa in Canada on a hard court, and he was a free-swinging young gun, who was a little skinny. Now he's kind of beefed up. He's got more muscle. He's going to be able to hang into matches longer, go deeper in tournaments, play more matches, get the best out of himself, and then recover when you beef up those legs. It makes a big difference, and it adds some pop to your serve. So Yannick Sinner does need that. But despite that, he has something that Shapovalov doesn't have. He has something that many players don't have, and that's why I talk about Yannick Sinner like he's kind of like Rafa Nadal. This guy is losing it physically, but mentally he's still there. And that's how he beats Khachanov. He calls for the trainer. They take him away, kind of like last year when Federer they took Federer away. Oh, what happened to Federer? They had to take him inside, and then Federer says in the press, well, when you have like a groin issue, you got to hike up your skirt a little bit, and you don't want to do that in front of the crowd at Rod Laver Arena. So they take Sinner away to work on a groin or something on inside his pants. The legs, talking about the legs here. So they take him away. He comes back out, serves for this match, and gets broken, ends up winning in a tiebreaker. That is very demanding as someone who's 19 years old. That's someone who's not very experienced with Grand Slam tennis yet. Pretty amazing stuff. Then he has to come back the next day and play his countryman, what's his name, Stefano Travaglia, something like that. And if you watch this match, this is not a match I would take and say, hey, look, let me tell you about this Jannik Sinner guy. You never heard of him? I think he's going to dominate the sport of tennis pretty soon. Watch this match. This is not the match to show because Sinner kind of played down. It was almost like, and I don't understand this, Sinner has the firepower to where he could just step in, take the ball early, and just try to finish you quick. But instead, he took a lot off the ball, stepped back a little bit at times, and kind of tried to let Travaglia, whatever his name is, he tried to let him hit himself out of the match, which I thought was kind of strange, but that's what he did. And then the very next day, he has to play Shapo. He turns it into a 5-set match, which to me makes Sinner look like the real deal even more. He obviously, he said afterwards that it was nothing to do with all the matches he played. That's not true. It's obvious. Maybe Sinner really believes that because, you know, the adrenaline kicks in and he felt pretty good out there at times. But if you watch that match, he's losing constantly. He's looking slower throughout the match. He finds a way to win that 4th set. It's amazing. But he's looking slower. Even against Kachanov, you could see his serve speeds coming way down as he's getting less and less from the legs. So the fact that he takes it to 5 sets, that says more to me about how Sinner's going to be really tough in the future to deal with just because of his mental game alone. And kind of says, like, what's up with Shapovalov? Shapovalov should have put this guy away, should have spanked him. Sinner comes out crushing him early, taking the ball early. The big criticism I have of Jannik Sinner, the thing that frustrated me, if you watch that match, towards the end of the match, Shapovalov, Sinner's returning great the whole match. Shapovalov's frustrated by this. We even saw Shapovalov do underhand serving, which he's never done. I've never seen that before. And obviously he doesn't do it much because they were kind of pretty bad underhand serves, actually. But you could tell it was because Sinner was standing way back and taking these serves kind of like Rafa Nadal style, and it was kind of annoying Sinner annoying Shapovalov, annoying him that Sinner was making so many quality returns on a guy like Shapo who has a pretty good serve. But then Shapo, who's worked a lot on his net game looks a lot better. You got to credit Shapovalov for that. I don't know if he wins this match without the improved skills at net. Shapovalov starts serving and volleying and pretty effectively neutralizes the efforts of Jannik Sinner doing this Rafa Nadal stand back by the wall return strategy, dominant team return strategy. And he's able to win a lot of points with the serve and volley that Sinner has no chance returning where he is to finish, especially as he's moving slower and slower as the match goes on, and you can tell there's something up with his legs. So I was a little confused. Why did Sinner do this? I don't know. Not a great way. I think he should have kept stepping in and going for the returns. Maybe he thought it would be easier for him, but honestly, it looked like it just made him run even more and get worn down. Shapovalov able to finally finish the match. But man, this is a match that Shapovalov probably shouldn't have been a 5-setter. Let's just say that. But he was on a losing streak. The losing streak is over. They asked Shapovalov afterwards about the peeing the pants, peeing on the court, peeing in the bottle stuff. And he kind of played it down. He says, I was just blowing off steam, just kind of cooling my head. But I think it's a dumb rule, especially for me. I've got the smallest bladder ever, so I literally got to take he said it again, I literally have to take a pee-pee. We'll say that instead. It's friendlier sounding. I have to take a pee-pee every set. It's difficult, especially when you're on court for so long. Before the match, I'm trying to hydrate as much as possible. So yeah, I gotta pee. Which, I agree with Shapo. That was kind of dumb. I guess the way the rule works is because he called for the trainer. Because Shapo called for the trainer, the umpire was saying to Shapovalov, hey man, you can't pee while we're waiting for the trainer to come out here because you might, hold up the trainer and make the injury timeout take too long or something like that. I see what he was trying to do, but yeah, it seems like a pretty dumb rule. As Shapo said, I can get back here before the trainer gets here. But, I think the trainer had his own agenda because take a look at what happened earlier in the match on this missed return, or it wasn't a return, I think it was a center forehand. And Shapovalov slices it right by, and look at the look on the umpire's face. He's not too thrilled. He wants to keep his vision. Unfortunately, if you're not familiar with Shapovalov's past, guys made amends for it, of course, but he did, out of anger, strike a ball one time and take a umpire's eye out. The guy was had to have surgery. I think his eye's okay now, but at the time they were worried he'd lose his eyesight. So I think this umpire remembers that. He knows that Shapovalov has done that, and when this ball goes by his face, kind of close to his eye, think maybe he was not too hot on Shapo for a moment after that. Okay, so let's go into the draw, and we got the draw back there. Let's see, it says draws. Let's go into the draw and just look at some notable things. First off, we got Djokovic coming up against Tiafoe. Tiafoe got through that. Yeah, there he is. Stefano Travaglia in 3 sets. The guy was probably pretty tired himself. That's unfortunate those guys had to play the next day. I think they were giving the ATP Cup guys the priority on getting a day off rather than the ATP 250 guys, which it should be that way. But Djokovic will be playing Frances Tiafoe up next. It's later tonight. Djokovic looks great to me. I think it's a match worth watching. I watched Tiafoe play a little bit. He's looking all right. Does anyone think he's got a chance against Djokovic? No, I'm going to say most likely straight sets. But Tiafoe is an explosive, athletic guy. It's worth watching. This match could be interesting. Then we got Wawrinka and Fucsovics. This is a match everyone should watch. Fucsovics looks better and better every year that he plays at the Australian Open. Of course, he gave Federer a pretty tough match last year. So, which should be a good match there. Especially, I haven't seen Wawrinka yet. I saw there was a comment. Someone said, how dare I didn't mention Wawrinka in my draw show. I don't feel like Wawrinka, since he's going to be, if he gets through these guys, and I don't know if he could get through a Mutet or a Raonic or even a Fucsovics. But he had a strong start, Wawrinka. Pedro Sousa, not the toughest person to draw here for the first round at all. But he looked good there. Will he get through Raonic or potentially a Mutet or Fucsovics? I don't know. If he does, he runs into Djokovic. I don't think Djokovic at this point in his career, although he did lose to him at the U.S. Open not too long ago, I don't think he's too worried about Stan Wawrinka, just the way things have gone for Wawrinka the last couple of years. Of course, Wawrinka is one of those guys like Fognini. I mean, you can't write him off. You can't say that he's no danger. He's always a danger. It will be, of course, if he gets there, a must-see. We got to watch it just in case. Djokovic, Wawrinka, third round. You got to watch it, but is anyone expecting Djokovic to lose to Wawrinka? I don't think anyone really is, and I certainly am not one of them. Let's go down a little lower. Sasha Zverev. I noticed watching Bernard Tomic, who I said had no chance of winning. Well, there was one chance, and that's what happened. If Sugita retires due to injury, that's why Bernard Tomic came through. Tomic was looking in the first set. When he lost that first set, it looked like he was definitely not going to win the match. And then he got a pass. So I was watching him, and that's when I noticed. I watched Marcus Giron, however you say his name. He's playing Sasha Zverev, and he wins the first set. And I realized their forehands are kind of similar. It's kind of funny. Take a look if you got the time. But Marcus Giron, he's kind of hits a very flat, kind of sneaky, powerful. You know, that ball can drop. You know, it's so flat. If you hit it well and early, and it goes anywhere near the corner or the line, it's kind of easy to hit a winner with that shot. So I thought that was interesting. The kind of similar, flat, slappy forehand. Anyways, Zverev got it together. A lot of only two double faults in that first. You would think, oh, he lost that first set because he hit like 10 double faults, right? He only had 2 double faults, but a lot of unforced errors, and the double faults were ugly. You know, they weren't the double faults where you almost make the serve. So he plays this guy Maximo Cressy, and you might remember this guy from last year. I don't remember where, but we definitely talked about him. Maybe a U.S. Open match. This is the guy who hits a first serve twice. His second serve is a big flat first serve again, and he serves and volleys almost every single first and second serve. Pretty much every first serve he serves and volleys, and he comes in on second serves pretty frequently. So how will Sasha Zverev deal with a weirdo like that? Right? You're not going to see that on the tour too often. That'll be interesting. I star that match. You better watch that match. Ugo Humbert, someone I've liked a lot for a couple years now. Very talented young player. Looks pretty good to me. Nick Kyrgios has him up next. Winner gets most likely Dominic Thiem. Dominic Thiem, he comes through in straight sets against the Kushmeister from Kazakhstan. He's actually a Russian. He's a Russian who plays under the flag of Kazakhstan for financial assistance reasons. Thiem admitted he's pretty nervous. He was a little nervous about that match, just getting things rolling after the way ATP Cup went for him, not the best. But he comes through that. He plays Kepfer up next. I don't think Dominic Thiem ever loses to anyone who speaks German, besides Roger Federer, of course. So I expect him to come through there and maybe get Nick Kyrgios, Ugo Humbert. That's tough, but we'll find out real quick if Nick Kyrgios is going to be for real at this tournament or if he's still having issues with the knee. So that's something you got to watch. Hopefully we get Kyrgios, Dominic Thiem. That is the more exciting matchup. But Ugo Humbert and Dominic Thiem, that would be good too. Then I star Shapovalov and Bernard Tomic. For a guy who's on a losing streak, for a guy who had a pretty rough draw in Yannick Sinner, and it is, I don't want to be too rough on Shapovalov. Earlier I make it sound like he should have spanked him. It's weird for Shapo because you're playing this guy who's even younger than you, right? Shapovalov is the swashbuckling, free-swinging young gun. But Yannick Sinner is even younger and even more free-swinging. That was one thing I noticed. I'm watching that match, and I'm thinking, man, Shapo's one of those guys, and when he hits a forehand, he looks like a rubber band arm. He smacks that thing hard, and part of the way you generate power is just having a real loosey-goosey follow through. When I teach tennis, I always tell people, make your arms like rubber bands. That's how you're going to hit the ball better. So Shapovalov is really good at that. And when you're watching Yannick Sinner, it's amazing because you're like, wow, he looks even looser and more, elastic and rubber band-like than Shapovalov. Man, this guy's a freak. So for him to play the younger guy, and it's a weird position. He comes through. He gets Bernard Tomic. That's pretty sweet for Shapovalov. He's going to go to the third round where he could get Felix Auger-Aliassime and Duckworth, which I like him there too. I like him. Countryman, he tends to do well against Felix Auger. Below that, he's probably going to have Schwartzman coming through for a fourth round. Shapovalov could potentially be in the quarterfinals here. The draw's pretty good for Shapovalov. He already got through the toughest thing he's going to have before facing. Could be Thiem, could be Kyrgios. Wouldn't shock me if it was Ugo Humbert. And don't forget, Pablo Carrera Busta, he's down there too. So that's how we're looking in the top half of the draw. Let's talk about the bottom half of the draw real quick. I didn't see Jan-Lennard Struff lose to Christopher O'Connell. The only thing I could say is maybe it's that Aussie factor. You've been in Australia training longer. Kind of a shocking result to me. Didn't get a chance to watch that match, though. Watched a lot of other matches. Moving down, I'm going to skip over a few things. Medvedev looked great. I expect him to come through here. It's fairly easy-looking section of the draw to me for Medvedev to come through, no problem. Tsitsipas plays Kokkinakis next. Let's we'll get to what Tsitsipas said pretty soon, but Tsitsipas looks great. Gilles Simon is a great player. Gilles Simon is one of the best movers on tour, even as he's getting older. When he is a younger in his prime player, one of the best, some of the best footwork you would find on tour. Gilles Simon has a very high tennis IQ. Gilles Simon can slow ball you to death, right? He can counterpunch very well, almost like an Andy Murray type of player. He can change things up and do a lot of things to bother someone, a top player. He's a guy you don't want to play in the first round at a major, in Gilles Simon. The fact that Tsitsipas completely dismantled him, destroyed the guy, to the point where we're making jokes about it the next day because of the stuff he said in the on-court interview. Pretty impressive start from Tsitsipas. He was impressive at ATP Cup as well, but man, Tsitsipas looks like the real deal. Next up, he'll get Kokkinakis. Very happy that Kokkinakis won a round here. This is a guy that for the last couple of years, we've heard nothing, but he's going to have to quit tennis because he's had so many issues. Who can afford to keep, getting injured and rehabbing your body to only get injured again and not play much tennis, not make many paychecks on tour? So Kokkinakis, I think he was actually crying after he won the match. Kind of reminds you when Andy Murray came back and won a match and no one thought he could come back. A lot of people, I'm sure, didn't think Kokkinakis would come back. He's back. He's got his one win. He will lose to Tsitsipas. Up next, Tsitsipas basically said the same thing in his press conference. Michael Emer will play Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz is another one of these young guys. I think he's 17 years old. He was on court 17. So a lot of people might not have seen that match. If he comes through, you will definitely see him play, most likely Tsitsipas in the third round. Try to find it, though, whatever court they put him and Michael Emer on. Hopefully it's a good one where you get a good camera view. Gotta check out Alcaraz. We will talk about him next time after he plays his second round with Michael Emer. Hopefully we're talking a potential matchup with Tsitsipas. That would be a fun one. See what that guy really is all about. Berrettini looked great. Comes through Kevin Anderson straight sets. We'll play most likely Kachanov next, who's going to play the little Lithuanian Ricardas Berankis. And don't forget about Meshack. Meshack for Berrettini. I'm expecting to see two big bangers of the ball. Kachanov, Berrettini with the winner, most likely getting Tsitsipas in a fourth round. Fonini. Fabio Fonini comes through in straight sets, plays Salvatore Caruso, a countryman, should be able to get through Caruso and possibly play Alex de Minaur. Pablo Cuevas came through with another Italian in this section, Seppi. I think that's what I put down in the draw shows, what I expected to happen. Rafa Nadal looked great. If you were worried about Rafa, there were moments where his game on return, mainly on serve, he was pretty much perfect. The first set, Nadal was missing some returns. He looked frustrated with himself. I think that's just because he hasn't practiced like everyone else. He hasn't got to play matches before the tournament. He gets Michael Mmoh next, who barely beat Viktor Troicki. I liked Troicki there because when you're at the end of the career like Troicki is, and you're with a guy like Novak Djokovic and all these Serbians, you know, they get that winning feeling all around. You're really going to go out there and let it all hang out. I thought he could do it, but Michael Mmoh comes through, what is this, in a tiebreak, I believe, in the fifth set, or 7-5 maybe. And Rafa, that's perfect for Rafa. Play some guy just played a 5-set match. Rafa he'll crunch him. He'll squish him. He could get Cam Nori or another guy, Roman, a qualifier from Russia named Roman Saflufin. Never heard of that guy. Looking good for Rafa. He could get Fonini or de Minaur. I know Fonini's beat Rafa before, but come on, this is looking great for Rafa until he runs into, most likely, Tsitsipas. I still stand by that prediction. I think that Tsitsipas is going to get Rafa here. Unless Rafa plays some aggressive tennis. If the body feels better and better, I could see Rafa finding his best stuff in time to beat Tsitsipas here. He's still capable of doing that, of course. He is Rafa Nadal. But as Rafa said, he doesn't know if he can trust the back. He doesn't know if the back will hold out for this whole tournament. And there's something to that. You know, I wasn't buying that, Rafa's not going to be able to play because of the back. It was obvious he was protecting it. If he's practicing, he's obviously able to hit the ball and move around still. But as matches go on, the draw looks good. If Rafa has any tough matches and then runs into Tsitsipas, then maybe you could wonder about the back holding up. He's going to have to get through his opponents pretty easily to make sure that doesn't come back and get re-aggravated. Let's talk about Tsitsipas and what he said. Jim Courier asked him if he was surprised at such a dominant scoreline against Gilles Simon. It's, again, a very impressive win to beat Simon the way he did beat him. He says, Tsitsipas said, I don't know what to say. I obviously wasn't expecting it to come so easy. It was a great match. So the crowd gasps, and they say, oh, my God, how can you insult your opponent? But it's kind of jovial. It's jocular, right? They're kind of joking. They're not really mad at him. And then Tsitsipas, responding to the crowd, says, I mean, let's be honest. And I like it. He should be honest. And that's when he says this. He says, oh, my God, I feel like I already messed up, blah, 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 blah. I played a spectacular match from beginning to end. The crowd starts to laugh again. What am I even doing here? What am I even doing? Blah, blah, blah. I can leave if you want. Okay, that's not the part I want to talk about. I want to talk about when he says this. Because, listen, he nails it. Yes, I was surprised. I don't want to add too much. My level is good. I felt good with my service games. I'm returning really well. I'm getting the upper hand at the beginning of rallies. This gives me confidence. And I know I can press a lot with my forehand. Press a lot with my forehand. He's dictating play with the forehand. The Tsitsipas forehand is looking like one of the best shots in the sport. Gilles Simon is someone who will give you no pace at times, and you have to generate your own pace, which can be an issue. I remember when Djokovic had trouble with this, and you saw a lot of practice court, just soft tosses of the ball to practice hitting balls that have no pace on them. It can be an issue for people as good as Djokovic. Tsitsipas, it was not really an issue. And one of the things I heard the commentators talking about, which is a good point, is, yeah, Tsitsipas has this flat grip, right? I mean, sometimes, you know, like Federer's going to hit it here. And sometimes Tsitsipas almost looks like a John McEnroe style grip a little bit. It looks even flatter than Federer's grip to me, just a touch. It's mostly identical to the Roger Federer forehand grip. Tsitsipas hits the straight arm forehand way out front, which just it makes your arm longer at contact. You can do more on the ball. You can hit it flatter and deeper. But one thing Tsitsipas does that helps with a ball that has no pace on it, because you can hit this ball out pretty easy sometimes, is even though he has a very flat grip, he hits a very heavy spin ball. So he crushes it flat, but then he always gets a very good brush up on the ball from Tsitsipas, which makes it a very heavy ball. He's already hitting it with a flat grip very powerfully. He's a big, strong guy, but he has a lot of margin for error. This is why I like Jannik Sinner. On both sides, he's absolutely crushing the ball with a fairly flat grip, but he's putting enough spin on it to where you feel like he's not going to miss. He's not going to miss anything, but every ball is deep because of the flatness of the grips, and every ball is very heavy from how much action, how much weight of shot he has on the ball. So I'm not bothered at all when Tsitsipas basically says, let me see, does he say it here? This is the best line. He said, I don't know what his tactic was, talking about Gilles Simon, and the crowd's laughing right before he said, I can leave if you want to. That's pretty good. But he also said something about Kakinaka, saying he knows him well. They've practiced together a lot. And then he says, but none of that's going to matter when we play. So I love it. Tsitsipas kind of reminds me of Federer, younger Federer. A lot of people said he was kind of cocky, maybe borderline arrogant, because he knew how good he was and what a danger he was to his opponents. Let's move on to Benoit Paire, slamming organizers for a shameful Australian Open, shameful quarantine rules. Benoit Paire has some good points here, though. This is from stuff.com.New Zealand, NZ. I think it's excrement, merde. I think, it's okay. I don't swear in this show, but I do in other languages because it doesn't feel real to me. It's a different language. It's not really saying a bad word. I think it's Scheiße what happened. It's shameful, Paire told French Sports News. Remember, these guys usually in their own language will be a little more candid in their own language and give you a little more of an inside scoop on what's going on. I'm very happy with my level, but this tournament, I really think it's excrement. There was also a positive case on the flight to Adelaide, but there they had time to take blood samples, and we were told to quarantine. Either we do the same things and the same rules for everyone, all of the people. Alla Leute. I do not understand why it's not fair for everyone. This match, I could have won it if I'd had 1 or 2 more training sessions like a normal preparation. 72 players, including Paire. This is now from the article. It's not quoting Benoit Paire. Personal friend. 72 players, including Benoit Paire, were quarantined after COVID-19 was found on 3 chartered flights to Australia, and they were unable to train. Others, including Novak Djokovic, they had to throw him in here. To throw him under the bus is what they usually like to do with Djokovic. Didn't have to face a hard quarantine, were able to self-isolate and permitted to train 5 hours a day. This has made Paire very angry, who said the Australian Open is all about money. There is a huge loss if they don't make the tournament. Most players think that there is a little bit of money to be made, and they come for it. I play for money too, but if you have to make so many sacrifices and things go so badly, you let it be such a hassle. At some point, you just have to say, stop. Paire's right. What are you going to do? We're just happy to have an Australian Open, but it does feel like some players have to stop practicing right before the tournament, while others get to practice 5 hours a day. It does feel very unfair. All right, last thing, and then we're going to get out of here. My apologies for not putting a show up late Monday night as my original intention. I had to see Nadal. When you see Svitolina is up before a match you want to watch, don't expect it to happen quickly. But anyways, I had to watch Nadal, and a little too tired to do a good show. So this is what I'm going to do for at least the foreseeable future during the Australian Open. I'll watch the earlier premium, big-time matches, top players that get on Rod Laver Arena. I'll watch them late at night. I'll go to bed. I'll wake up early and watch the 3 a.m. matches, the matches that start here at 3 a.m., like Tsitsipas's match with Gilles Simon. And I'll try to get a video up as early in the day as I can before the next day's or night here where I'm at. The next day's matches begin. All right, finally, Nick Kyrgios has another cut at Strange Cat. Novak, you called him a strange cat. But some of the stuff Kyrgios is saying is not so bad, but it's so obvious. And the only reason why I bring this up is there was an interesting episode. I got to get out of here today because I got a lot of rain coming, so I've got some tennis to do today, teaching and playing for my own practice as well today. So I would show you what happened with Kyrgios in whatever it was, whichever ATP 250 he was in before the Australian Open when he, second round match for him. But I don't want to go through all of that. I just want to say it's interesting that so many people still don't understand Nick Kyrgios. Hit the music because we're going to get out of here. Nick Kyrgios, there's no lines, people. There's no challenges. There's nothing to argue about, right? Nick Kyrgios is like John McEnroe in his talent, right? He's kind of like Pete Sampras' serve mixed with John McEnroe touch with all the crazy shots that he can hit. And, of course, very much like John McEnroe in the fact that he has to argue all the time. And I remember Kyrgios basically is winding down the serve clock to 1 second over and over until the umpire calls him on it and gives him a warning. And then Kyrgios says, bring out the supervisor, which is John McEnroe's favorite line. I'm not playing. I'm not playing until the supervisor comes out here. He baited the umpire into this fight. It was so obvious. And the commentators are like, I don't understand. Kyrgios plays so fast in between serves. Why does he care? Well, obviously, he was slowing things down so that he would start his serve with 1 second on the clock over and over and could start it. This is what the guy does. He thrives on conflict. So it's no surprise to me that he's trying to lure Djokovic into a fight, saying that he's a strange cat, saying, I don't know why. He baited Djokovic into saying, I don't respect the guy off the court, I respect him on the court. And then he turned it into a thing, well, he should respect me off the court because I do all this charitable work. And when I do it, I don't spread COVID. I'm very, I social distance when I do my charitable work, which is obviously another reminder of the Adria Tour from last year. If you don't understand Nick Kyrgios yet, the guy needs conflict. It's what he does to focus on his game. Doesn't make any sense. That's what he does. We will be back around this time tomorrow after tonight's matches are over. See you!